Is that your kid digging through the trash, Mr. Janitor? The laughter hits harder than the words. Forks pause midair as eyes swing toward the far end of the ballroom. The janitor, Daniel, freezes, mop still in hand as his 8-year-old daughter Lily pulls a small stuffed bear from a pile of discarded toys near the donation table. The CEO, immaculate in his tuxedo, grins at the guests. Raising kids on garbage, now that's innovation on a budget. The room erupts in forced chuckles. Champagne glasses clink. Someone mutters that the staff should keep their children away from the guests. Daniel bends down slowly, wipes the toy with his sleeve, and hands it back to Lily. It's clean, he whispers, though his throat burns. His hands tremble, but his voice stays calm. Years of swallowing pride have taught him silence is safer than defense. Lily doesn't understand why everyone's laughing. It's just a toy, she says softly, clutching the bear against her chest. Daniel nods, his jaw tight. Across the hall, the CEO raises a toast. To knowing your worth. Daniel feels the words cut deeper than intended. He lowers his head, gathers his cleaning bucket, and guides Lily toward the side door. The laughter follows them like an echo that won't die. Outside, under the flickering backlight of the building, Lily studies the bear. Its left eye is missing, and its fur smells faintly of perfume and dust. "Dad," she says, tugging at his sleeve. "There's paper inside." He glances down. A tiny folded note sticks out from a tear in the bear's paw. He starts to brush it away, probably trash, but something in Lily's expression stops him. She looks curious, not embarrassed. Hopeful, Eve. "Can we keep it?" she asks. Daniel nods. "We'll clean it up at home." He doesn't yet know that the paper inside that torn paw will unravel everything. His job, the CEO's pride, and the thin line between humiliation and redemption. As Lily hugs the bear to her chest, Daniel grips the mop handle tighter. Somewhere behind the noise of the night, a quiet promise forms. This won't be the end of their story. The morning after the charity event starts the same way all of Daniel's mornings do. Before the city wakes, before the buses even start to move. The alarm buzzes on a cracked phone, and he silences it with the same tired thumb that's been cleaning floors for 20 years. The apartment is small but spotless. Every item has its place, not because it's perfect, but because order is the only luxury they can afford. Lily's school uniform hangs ironed on the chair, her backpack patched at the corners with pieces of old denim. The sound of her humming drifts from the bathroom. She's singing to the bear, the one she rescued from the trash. Daniel watches her quietly. The bear sits on the sink beside the toothbrush cup, its missing eye replaced with a button Lily found from his work shirt. The tear in its paw is stitched with red thread, clumsy, but done with love. The folded note rests on the counter, untouched since last night. "Can we read it today?" she asks, her voice bright. He smiles faintly. "After school, let's not start the day with mysteries." Lily rolls her eyes, pretending to protest, but she nods. She trusts him completely. That trust, so effortless, so undeserved, hurts more than anything. When she leaves for school, Daniel stands at the door longer than necessary. He watches until her ponytail disappears around the corner, then he exhales the weight he's been holding. The janitor uniform goes on. The name tag Daniel Reyes is faded from bleach. He grabs his lunch tin and the small thermos that still carries his late wife's initials. CR. She's to pack his lunch with handwritten notes. Little reminders to smile even when no one's looking. Those notes stop the day she didn't wake up. He never told Lily the full story, just that her mother went to sleep in peace. The truth, the hospital bills, the helplessness, the feeling of failure stays buried under layers of endurance. At the corporate building, Daniel moves like part of the furniture. Employees pass without seeing him. The polished floors reflect their expensive shoes, not his face. He wipes tables, empties bins, fixes what's broken before anyone notices it was. It's invisible work, precise, essential and unseen. At noon he pauses by the glass wall overlooking the city. He can see the CEO's office 10 floors above, where the curtains never move and the light never dims. To Daniel, that office isn't just a room, it's a reminder, a symbol of everything he's been told he'll never reach. He remembers the laughter from last night. It plays on a loop in his head, like a cruel melody. Raising kids on garbage. He'd heard worse, but not in front of Lily. That's what broke something inside him. Not the insult, but the way his daughter looked confused, as if wondering why kindness could sound so cruel. During his break, he sits alone in the janitor's closet. The walls smell of disinfectant and damp rags. From his pocket, he pulls out the small note Lily found inside the bear. It's still folded, edges slightly frayed. He hesitates. Reading it feels like trespassing into someone else's pain. But curiosity wins. He unfolds it carefully. The handwriting is small, neat, childlike. Just a few lines. If you find this, please tell my dad I forgive him. I know he didn't mean it. I miss him. No name, no date, just those words. Daniel stares at it, heart tightening. He looks at the bear again. The perfume, the dust, the expensive fabric. Whoever owned this once lived a different life. But the pain in the note feels universal. A child forgiving a father. He tucks it back inside the bear. Some stories aren't meant for us, he murmurs. When Lily comes home that evening, she talks about school projects and playground games. About how her teacher said her drawing was the happiest one in class. Daniel smiles, though the fatigue in his eyes deepens. He serves her dinner, rice and leftover chicken, then sits across from her, pretending to eat so she'll take the bigger portion. "Dad, do rich people ever get sad?" she asks suddenly. He pauses. Everyone does, but some hide it better. She nods as if that makes perfect sense. Then she hugs the bear again, the red thread glowing faintly under the table light. Later, when she's asleep, Daniel washes the dishes and stands by the window staring at the skyline. Somewhere up there, behind those glass towers, sits the man who made them laugh. The CEO with the perfect smile and empty words. Daniel whispers, almost to himself, "You don't know what real worth looks like." He doesn't know yet, but their lives are already tangled by a child's forgotten note. And by morning that note will begin to change everything. "Mr. Reyes, you're wanted upstairs, right now." Daniel freezes mid-mop. The supervisor's tone isn't angry, just sharp. The kind of sharp that hides condescension under politeness. He wipes his hands on his uniform and follows her to the executive floor. The carpet is thicker there, softer than anything he's ever stepped on. Outside the CEO's office, two assistants whisper as if gossip itself were currency. When they see him, their voices drop. One of them smirks, the other looks away. The CEO's door opens before Daniel can knock. "Come in," a voice says, cool, practiced. The same voice that toasted to knowing your worth. Inside everything gleams. The CEO, Leonard Price, stands by a massive desk, phone pressed to his ear. His suit looks untouched by the day. Yes, double the contribution next quarter," he says, waving Daniel in as though he's an afterthought. Optics matter. He hangs up, then finally turns. "Daniel, isn't it?" "Yes, sir. You were at the charity event last night." Daniel nods, unsure where this is going. "Just helping the team clean up." Leonard smiles, too wide, too effortless. "I noticed. Hard worker. You keep this place running quietly, and I respect that." Daniel senses something rehearsed in the compliment. "Thank you, sir." Leonard gestures toward a folder on his desk. "I'm hosting a private function this weekend at my residence. We'll need someone reliable for pre-cleaning and service oversight. My staff suggested you, double pay for 2 nights. Interested?" The words sound like a favor, but the smirk behind them feels like a test. After last night's humiliation, the offer smells of pity disguised as opportunity. Still, the thought of extra money tugs at him. Lily's upcoming school trip, the payment reminder on the fridge, the empty fridge shelf where her favorite jam should be. "Yes, sir," Daniel says finally. "I'll take it." Leonard claps his hands once. "Good man, that's the spirit. Always say yes to a chance to impress." Daniel forces a polite smile and leaves the office. Stomach tight. Down the hallway he hears a burst of laughter from another room. He doesn't look back. That night, at home, Lily waits with the bear in her lap. The red-stitched paw has come loose again. "You said we'd open the paper today," she reminds him. Daniel sits beside her on the couch. The note feels heavier now, as though the words inside might change more than he's ready for. But Lily's curiosity is unshakable. She slides the folded paper perfor and smooths it out carefully. The handwriting is small, slanted, and written in a rush. "They took my toy away. I heard Daddy yelling. I want to go home. If anyone finds this, tell him I'm still waiting." Lily frowns. "Who wrote that?" Daniel studies the paper, his chest tightening. Looks like a child. "Do you think she's okay?" He doesn't answer right away. "I don't know, sweetheart." She looks at the bear, then at him. "Can we find her?" He forces a small smile. Sometimes people just need to be remembered. But the note won't leave his mind. Something about the tone, the quiet desperation feels too real, too recent. He folds it back and slips it into the bear's paw again. "Let's keep it safe." Lily hugs the bear, Maybe her dad works at your building too. Daniel almost laughs at the innocence of that thought. Maybe, he says softly. The weekend comes faster than expected. Leonard's mansion stands on the outskirts of the city, a place where light never dims and gates open by recognition. Daniel arrives with his cleaning kit, wearing his pressed uniform, and the quiet determination he's carried his whole life. Inside, everything smells of wealth, polish, perfume, and privilege. The staff treat him politely, but from a distance he's invisible again, but that's where he's most comfortable. While wiping down a glass shelf in the study, Daniel notices something that makes him pause. A framed photograph of a little girl holding a stuffed bear. The same design, same color, same missing eye. The background shows a company picnic, the banner behind her reading Price Industries Family Day. Daniel stares at it for a long moment. The girl's face is bright, full of life, but the bear's tear in the paw, the exact spot where the note was found, is unmistakable. He glances around the room. A maid passes behind him carrying a tray of crystal glasses. "Sir," he whispers, pointing to the photo. "Who's that?" She gives him a startled look. "Mr. Price's daughter. She passed away years ago." Then she lowers her voice. "No one talks about it. It was complicated." Daniel's pulse quickens. He nods silently, pretending to dust the frame. That night, as he finishes mopping the grand hall, Leonard walks in with a drink in hand. "You've done well, Daniel. Thorough work. I appreciate people who know their place." The words land like stones. Daniel bows slightly. "Thank you, sir." Leonard's gaze lingers. "Funny thing, you ever notice how some people can't move on? They cling to the past, to broken things. I prefer progress." Daniel doesn't respond, but his eyes drift toward the staircase leading to the study. The photo, the bear, the note inside it. When he drives home past midnight, Lily is still awake on the couch, the bear beside her. "Did you find out who she was?" she asks sleepily. Daniel hesitates, brushing her hair back gently. "I might have. Is she okay?" He looks away. "Not anymore." Lily hugs the bear tighter. "Then we should keep her safe." He nods, voice barely above a whisper. "We will." What he doesn't know is that the same kindness that drives him to protect a forgotten child will soon pull him into a storm, one that will test the limits of his silence, his dignity, and the truth buried deep inside the walls of Price Industries. "Make sure the study is spotless before noon. Mr. Price has guests coming," the head maid says, voice clipped but polite. Daniel nods and wheels in his cleaning cart. The mansion feels unnervingly quiet that morning. Too many doors closed, too much silence holding its breath. He's been working here for 2 days now, his body running on caffeine and duty, his mind tangled in the memory of the photo and the note. He enters the study. The air smells faintly of cigar smoke and lemon polish. The photograph of the girl is still there on the shelf, her missing-eyed bear clutched in her tiny arms. The sight pulls at something deep inside him, an ache that has nothing to do with class or money, just the universal pain of a parent who's lost too much. He gently wipes dust off the frame. For a moment he imagines Lily's picture sitting in a stranger's house one day, forgotten and yellowed by time. The thought chills him. The door behind him opens suddenly. He startles, nearly dropping the cloth. Voices drift in. Leonard Price's low and tense, followed by another man's tone that sounds like a lawyer's. "I told you," Leonard snaps. "Those files were sealed. No one's supposed to know the inspection ever happened." The lawyer replies quietly. "There's no guarantee it'll stay buried. The child's statement resurfacing could ruin your image. If that note is real..." Leonard cuts him off. "It's gone. That factory was shut down. Everyone involved signed NDAs. And she," his voice falters, softer now, "she's gone. What's left to ruin?" Daniel freezes mid-motion, heart pounding. That note, he doesn't mean to listen, but every instinct, every fatherly nerve in him clings to the words like a warning. He stays absolutely still, back turned to the door. "You don't understand," Leonard continues. "People think tragedy builds sympathy. It doesn't. It breeds weakness. I won't let that story define me or her." A silence stretches, then the sound of shoes approaching. "You're sure no one's heard anything?" The lawyer hesitates. "There are whispers. The janitor from headquarters, he was seen with a stuffed bear matching the one from the memorial photo." Daniel's stomach drops. The door swings wider, and Leonard steps inside. His gaze locks on Daniel immediately. "What are you doing in here?" The words crack like a whip. Daniel straightens, cloth still in hand. "Just cleaning, sir." "I did." "Who told you to touch that shelf?" Leonard's voice sharpens. "Did you go through my daughter's things?" "No, sir. I only..." "Don't lie to me." Leonard slams a fist against the desk, the sound echoing through the room. You think I don't know your type? You see a headline, a payout, and suddenly you find evidence. Is that it? Daniel steps back, stunned. Sir, I swear, I did. The lawyer interjects quietly. Leonard, maybe. Enough. Leonard's glare burns through him. You're fired. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Daniel feels the words hit harder than any shove. He doesn't plead, he's done that too many times in life. Instead, he looks once at the photo on the shelf, the smiling child, the bear, and realizes what's happening isn't about cleaning or rules. It's about guilt and fear hiding behind money. I understand, he says softly, but I didn't mean any harm. Leonard's tone turns icy. You already have. Within minutes, a guard appears, guiding him toward the door. The staff watches quietly, avoiding eye contact. No one speaks. No one helps. Outside, Daniel stands beside the curb with his bag of cleaning supplies, staring at the massive gates closing behind him. His chest feels hollow, but his pride forces him to stay upright. He rides the bus home in silence, the city blurring past. When he opens the apartment door, Lily jumps up from the couch. Dad, you're home early. He manages a weak smile. Yeah, just finished work sooner today. She runs over, bear in hand. I fixed the stitching again. Look. The red thread runs across the paw like a scar. The sight breaks him in ways he can't show. He crouches, smoothing her hair back. That's perfect, sweetheart.
Can we go on the school trip now?
Miss Harper said the forms are due tomorrow. He swallows hard. We'll see. Okay. She tilts her head, sensing something wrong. Did you get in trouble? Daniel hesitates. He wants to lie to protect her innocence, but something in her eyes stops him. They don't need me at work anymore.
Why? You're good at cleaning.
He laughs softly, a sound that's more pain than humor. Not everyone sees what's good. Lily frowns, clutching the bear tighter. We can share my lunch money till you find another job. He pulls her close, holding her for a long time. Her small heartbeat against his chest feels like the only thing keeping him upright. When she finally drifts to sleep, he sits by the window again, watching the city lights flicker like fading stars. The note still sits in the bear's paw beside her bed. He wonders what truth is losing everything for, and whether silence really keeps anyone safe. A text buzzes on his phone. Final paycheck ready. Collect from HQ. No further contact permitted. He deletes it without replying. His reflection in the glass looks older than he remembers. Outside, a siren wails somewhere distant. Inside, he whispers to himself, "You can take the job, but not the truth." But even he doesn't realize yet that the truth isn't finished with him. Tomorrow, the story behind that note will find him again, and this time it won't let him stay silent. For the first time in years, Daniel wakes without an alarm. The quiet feels wrong, too heavy, too final. The uniform still hangs by the door, pressed and ready out of habit, but it has nowhere to go. He sits at the kitchen table staring at the bills stacked like a bad deck of cards. Rent, utilities, school fees. Each envelope has his name spelled right but his worth spelled wrong. He opens none of them. Lily eats her cereal across from him, legs swinging beneath the chair. "Are we okay?" she asks, between bites. He forces a smile. "We always are." She nods, trusting him completely. That trust, pure, undeserved, feels like a knife made of light. When she leaves for school, Daniel stays seated for a long time. The apartment is so quiet he can hear the hum of the fridge, the distant shuffle of the upstairs neighbor's steps, the drip of a faucet he keeps meaning to fix. It all sounds like time passing without purpose. He turns on his phone. No calls, no texts. The world keeps moving, and he's not in it anymore. That evening, Lily comes home with a permission slip for her school trip. Miss Harper said we can go to the planetarium. I've never seen real stars before. Daniel takes the paper. The cost is circled in bold. His chest tightens. We'll figure it out, he says softly, but his voice doesn't sound convincing even to himself. She looks at him, then at the bear sitting on the couch. We could sell something. He laughs quietly. What would we sell? She shrugs. Not the bear. He's ours now. Daniel reaches over, fixing the crooked button eye with his thumb.
Yeah?
He's ours. The next few days blend together. He looks for work, calls old contacts, visits maintenance offices, cleans a neighbor's basement for $20. Each small job feels like scooping water from a sinking boat. At night, he lies awake listening to Lily's steady breathing. Sometimes he watches her hand resting on the bear like she's guarding it even in dreams. The note is still tucked inside the paw. He's thought about throwing it away, but something in him can't. Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's the strange truth that he believes the words inside it more than the lies the world tells him. On the 5th night, Lily brings the note to the table. "Dad, what if this isn't just a message? What if it's someone asking for help?" He looks up from his half-eaten dinner. "Sweetheart, sometimes things happen long ago. We can't fix the past. But what if it's not the past?" she says, her small voice trembling. "What if she's still waiting?" He sighs. "We can't get involved in things we don't understand. But you always say we should help people." The words hit him harder than he expects. She's right. He's the one who taught her that. He pushes his chair back, running a hand over his face. "I just need time to think." Lily studies him, her innocence replaced with something steadier, determination. "I think she was scared," she says quietly. The girl who wrote it. She forgave her dad even if he hurt her. That means she was kind, like Mom. Daniel's throat tightens. "Go get ready for bed, okay?" She hesitates, then hugs the bear tight. If we don't help her, who will? When she disappears into her room, Daniel leans back and closes his eyes. The silence feels louder now, like the universe itself waiting for him to move. He thinks about Leonard Price, about the fury in his voice, the photo on the shelf, the word sealed files echoing in his memory. Maybe the note wasn't just about loss. Maybe it was about something covered up, something dirty hidden behind charity smiles. He wants to let it go. Pride tells him to walk away. But guilt has a different language. It speaks in echoes that never stop. The next morning, he walks Lily to school. She skips ahead, hair bouncing, the bear tucked under her arm. The sunlight catches her face, and for a second he feels the kind of peace that only parents understand. The fleeting illusion that love alone can protect a child. But as she waves goodbye and disappears into the school gates, that peace fades. He stands there longer than usual. Around him cars pass, people rush, life continues. He's the only one standing still. Back home, he opens the small box that holds his wife's things. Her last photo, her wedding ring, a folded letter she once wrote about fighting storms by standing still. He stares at the line until it blurs. Maybe standing still isn't strength anymore. Maybe it's surrender. That evening, he tells Lily she can go on her school trip. He'll figure out the money somehow. She squeals, hugging him with a joy that momentarily erases his worry. But later, when she's asleep, he opens the bear again and reads the note one more time. The handwriting trembles on the page, as if the words themselves are afraid. He whispers into the dark, "I don't know who you were, but someone should have listened." The night stretches endlessly around him. The city hums, indifferent. Somewhere, a door creaks open in his mind, the part of him that's tired of being silent. He looks toward the small window, where faint city lights shimmer like faraway stars. For the first time since losing his job, a thought flickers, thin but alive. Maybe losing everything isn't the end. Maybe it's the beginning of being free enough to tell the truth. And in the quiet of that small apartment, Daniel finally understands. Dignity doesn't vanish when money runs out. It disappears only when a man stops believing he can make things right. It starts on a Wednesday morning, quiet and ordinary. Daniel walks Lily halfway to school. Just like always, she's carrying her backpack, the bear tucked under one arm. He reminds her to look both ways before crossing, to eat her lunch, to be kind. The usual but that day something different stirs inside her, a determination she's been quietly building since their last talk. When she reaches the end of the street, she turns the other way instead of heading straight to school. She walks toward the tall glass building with the blue logo she's seen on her dad's work badge. Price Industries, the place where the bear came from. Inside, the receptionist looks surprised to see a small girl pushing open the heavy doors. "Sweetheart, are you lost?" Lily shakes her head. "No, ma'am, I'm returning something that belongs here." She holds up the stuffed bear like it's something sacred. Someone threw it away, but it has a letter inside. "I think it's important." The receptionist blinks, unsure what to say. "Do you know who it belongs to?" Lily frowns thoughtfully. "It said something about a dad. Maybe your boss?" The woman hesitates, then calls an assistant. Within minutes, word travels upstairs. "A little girl's here with a toy she says belongs to Mr. Price." Leonard Price is in the middle of a meeting when his assistant interrupts. "Sir, there's a child downstairs with a stuffed bear. Says it's yours." Leonard freezes mid-sentence.
What?
"She mentioned a note inside it. For a moment the CEO says nothing. His jaw tightens, his eyes flicker in a way that none of his board members have ever seen. Then curtly he waves his hand. Send her up. Downstairs Lily sits swinging her legs in the waiting area. When the elevator doors open, the assistant leads her inside still holding the bear. Meanwhile Daniel finishes cleaning a neighbor's yard when his phone rings. An unknown number. Mr. Reyes? Yes? This is Price Industries. Your daughter is here. Safe, but we'd like you to come in. His heart nearly stops. What? Is she okay? She's fine, sir. Just come. He doesn't even take off his gloves. He runs. By the time he arrives, Lily is sitting across from Leonard Price himself. The CEO, normally composed and impenetrable, looks oddly pale. The bear sits on his desk between them, the red-stitched paw facing upward. So you found this in the trash? Leonard asks gently. Yes, sir, Lily says unafraid. My dad fixed it. It had a note inside. Leonard swallows. May I see it? She nods and slides the folded paper across the desk. He unfolds it slowly. The handwriting slanted small makes his breath catch. His eyes skim the words. The color drains from his face. He whispers almost to himself. This was my daughter's handwriting. The room feels smaller suddenly, the silence heavier. Lily tilts her head. She wrote nice things. She said she forgave her dad. Leonard's eyes flick up, glossy with something between pain and disbelief. Did she? At that moment the door opens. Daniel bursts in, breathless, face flushed. Lily, are you okay? She runs to him, grinning. I gave it back. The man said it was his. Daniel freezes when he sees Leonard, the same man who humiliated him, who fired him, now holding the note like it's the only fragile thing left in the world. For a long moment, neither man speaks. The air between them hums with everything unsaid. Pride, grief, and the weight of shared parenthood. Leonard clears his throat. She told me you found this bear. He stops. The words don't come easily. I owe you an explanation. Daniel keeps his distance. You don't owe me anything, sir. We were just returning what wasn't ours. Leonard shakes his head slightly. That bear was my daughter's favorite. She used to take it everywhere. After she passed, it disappeared during a warehouse move. He looks at the note again. I thought I'd lost the last piece of her. Daniel softens despite himself. I'm sorry for your loss. Leonard nods faintly, still not meeting his eyes. Thank you. Lily steps forward, her small voice steady. She must have loved you a lot. The note said she forgave you. Leonard's composure cracks at that. His throat tightens. Forgave me. He folds the note carefully, his hands trembling. She wrote this after an argument. I said something cruel before she got sick. I never got to take it back. Daniel watches quietly. He knows that kind of guilt, the kind that keeps you awake for years, whispering if only. Lily glances up at her dad. See, Dad? We helped. He smiles faintly, pride and worry mixed. Yes, sweetheart. You did. Leonard looks at them, his expression softening just enough to show the man beneath the title. You're a brave little girl, he says. And your father raised you well. Daniel shifts, uneasy. We should go. I didn't mean to cause trouble again. Leonard stops him. Wait. He opens a drawer, pulls out an envelope. For your time, and your daughter's honesty. Daniel shakes his head. No, sir. We're not here for that. It's not charity, Leonard says quietly. It's gratitude. Daniel hesitates, then simply nods. Keep it. Maybe do something good with it. In her name. The refusal hangs in the air, quiet but strong. Leonard studies him for a moment. The man he once mocked, standing there with dignity unbroken. As Daniel takes Lily's hand to leave, Leonard calls after him. Mr. Reyes. He turns. She was about your daughter's age, Leonard says softly. If you ever need anything, my door's open. Daniel nods once. Some doors should stay that way. They leave the building, stepping into the afternoon light. Lily skips ahead, humming. Dad? She asks suddenly. Did he seem sad? Yes, Daniel says. Very. Then maybe we helped a little. He smiles, weary but proud. Yeah, Lily, maybe we did. Behind them in the high-glass office, Leonard sits alone, staring at the bear. For the first time in years, the wall between him and his grief begins to crack. And through that small crack, something almost human starts to breathe again. It starts with a phone call Daniel almost ignores. Mr. Reyes, this is Mr. Price's office. He'd like to invite you and your daughter for a private lunch tomorrow. He said it's to clear misunderstandings. Daniel nearly ends the call right there. The last time he heard Leonard Price's voice, it ended with humiliation and a security escort, but Lily, overhearing, jumps from the couch. Dad. Maybe he wants to say sorry. He sighs. People like him don't say sorry, sweetheart. Then maybe he should learn how. Her words hang in the air. Simple but piercing. He looks at her. So hopeful, so certain that even powerful people can change. Maybe she's right. Maybe this isn't about dignity or revenge. Maybe it's about giving decency one last chance. He agrees to go. The next afternoon they arrive at the same towering building that once spat him out. The receptionist smiles this time, guided by new instructions from above. They're led into a quiet conference room lined with books, instead of awards. Leonard stands by the window. No suit jacket, no audience, just a man stripped of image. Mr. Reyes. Lily, thank you for coming, he says softly. Daniel nods, cautious. You said you wanted to clear misunderstandings. Leonard gestures toward the table where sandwiches and juice sit instead of champagne. I thought maybe we could talk. No business, no uniform. Lily takes the invitation literally. She climbs into a chair and opens her sandwich like it's an adventure. You can sit too, Dad. It's free food. Leonard chuckles, a sound Daniel didn't know he could make. She's honest. I like that. She gets it from her mom, Daniel says before he can stop himself. The moment the words leave his mouth, the room softens. Leonard sits across from them. I lost my wife too, and my daughter. Daniel looks up, wary. I'm sorry. Leonard nods. I wasn't there enough. For either of them. He folds his hands. When my daughter died, I buried myself in work. Told myself I was building something that mattered. But it was just noise to drown the guilt. Lily frowns. Work doesn't make you less sad. It just makes you tired. Leonard smiles weakly. You might be the only person who's ever told me that. Daniel watches the exchange. A strange unease mixing with empathy. Sometimes, he says slowly, you convince yourself you're doing it for them. The long hours. The missed dinners. You tell yourself it's love. But really you're just scared to stop moving. Leonard nods. Exactly. For the first time, they're not talking across class or status. Just two fathers standing in the same shadow. Lily takes a sip of juice, eyes wide. You both sound like you need a nap. That breaks the tension. Leonard laughs. Genuine this time. Daniel does too, a little. The conversation drifts. Lily tells stories about school, how she wants to be an astronaut because stars don't care if you're rich or poor. Leonard listens, fascinated. He asks her questions, not like a man performing politeness, but like someone remembering what curiosity feels like. When she talks about her mom, Leonard's eyes soften. What was she like? He asks Daniel. Kind, Daniel says. Too kind. She believed people could change if you just gave them enough patience. Do you believe that too? Daniel hesitates. I want to. Leonard exhales. Then maybe start with me. A quiet falls between them. Not awkward, reflective. Lily looks from one man to the other. My mom used to say kindness is like cleaning. You have to keep doing it or the dust comes back. Leonard chuckles. Your mother was a smart woman. She'd like you, Lily adds simply. If you stop being sad all the time. Leonard glances at Daniel, almost sheepish. She's more perceptive than half my board members. She doesn't see people's titles, Daniel says. Just their faces. Leonard looks down at the note lying folded on the table between them. I didn't deserve her forgiveness, he murmurs. Daniel's tone is gentle but firm. No parent does. We just try not to waste it. They eat in silence for a while. It's a strange kind of peace, fragile but real. For once, Leonard doesn't look like a CEO, and Daniel doesn't feel like a janitor. They're just two men sitting at the same table sharing the same air, realizing how much grief looks alike no matter how much money you have. When lunch ends, Leonard stands and says, Lily, would you like to see my daughter's garden? We keep it downstairs. Her favorite flowers still grow there. Lily nods eagerly. In the garden courtyard, the flowers are bright, well kept, alive. A small plaque reads for Emma, always love. Leonard kneels beside Lily. She planted those daisies herself, said they looked like sunshine trying to stand tall. Lily traces the letters on the plaque. I think she'd like that you kept them alive. Leonard's voice breaks slightly. I hope so. Daniel watches from a few steps away. There's a tenderness in Leonard's expression he never thought he'd see. The same love he carries for Lily, just buried under years of guilt. As they prepare to leave, Leonard says, Mr. Reyes, I'd like to make things right, not as a boss, but as a man. I can't undo what happened, but maybe we can build something good out of it. Daniel pauses. What kind of good? Honesty, Leonard says simply. Maybe that's where healing starts. He offers his hand. This time, Daniel takes it. When they leave, Lily skips ahead again, humming to the bear under her arm. Dad, she says, looking up at him. I think he smiled for real this time. Daniel glances back at the tall glass building where Leonard stands by the window, watching them go. Yeah, he murmurs. Maybe we both did. For the first time in a long time, the air feels lighter, as if something wounded has started to mend, quietly between them. The first headline appears 3 days after that peaceful lunch. CEO Leonard Price, targeted in emotional blackmail scheme. Daniel doesn't see it until his phone buzzes non-stop during breakfast. Neighbors are sending screenshots, co-workers forwarding links. He scrolls through the words, his chest hollowing with every line. Sources claim a fired employee attempted to exploit the CEO's private family tragedy. The man, previously dismissed for misconduct, is alleged to have used a personal item belonging to the late Price child to manipulate emotional access. Lily eats cereal quietly across from him. Dad, why is your name on the news? He freezes. His spoon slips into the bowl with a dull clink. What? What did you see? They said you stole something. Her eyes widen. That's not true, right? Daniel forces a breath. No, sweetheart. It's not true. But truth doesn't matter once stories start selling. By afternoon, camera vans crowd outside their building. Voices shout from the street. Mr. Reyes, did you threaten Mr. Price? How much did he pay you? Is the note even real? Daniel keeps the curtains shut. He doesn't answer the door. The noise outside grows until even Lily covers her ears. At headquarters, Leonard's assistant bursts into his office, pale. Sir, the board's demanding a statement. They say the leak came from Mr. Adler's team. Leonard rubs his temples. Of course it did. Adler, the oldest board member, a man who'd hated Leonard's softening image, the one who believed grief was a weakness in leadership. The assistant hesitates. They want you to distance yourself. Say the employee fabricated the story. Leonard stares out the window at the storm of cameras below. He didn't fabricate anything. Sir, if you don't respond, they'll take it as admission. He exhales, anger buried beneath exhaustion. Write me a statement, I'll handle the rest. When the press conference airs that evening, Daniel watches it on the flickering TV in their living room. Leonard sits at a long table, flanked by advisors, his face tense but unreadable. A reporter asks, Mr. Price, can you confirm or deny the allegations of manipulation by a former employee? Leonard's jaw tightens. I can confirm that a personal item belonging to my late daughter was recovered under distressing circumstances. Any suggestion of blackmail or exploitation is under review. The room erupts in questions. Daniel turns off the TV. He doesn't need to hear more. Lily tugs on his sleeve. Why didn't he tell them the truth? He looks down, voice breaking. Because sometimes telling the truth costs more than people are willing to pay. For the next few days, the world closes in. Parents at Lily's school whisper. The landlord asks about the mess. Daniel's old supervisor texts. Bad idea crossing a man like that. He tries to stay calm for Lily, but the silence between them grows thicker each night. At the mansion, Leonard's own world fractures too. Investors threaten withdrawal. Adler corners him in the hallway. I told you compassion makes you weak. You hand a janitor your heart, and he sells it to the tabloids. Leonard's voice is low but sharp. He didn't sell anything. Then why are we bleeding money over this pity project? Fire your PR team, disown the man, and move on. Leonard stares him down. You leaked it, didn't you?
Adler smirks.
I protected this company. Someone had to. That night, Leonard sits alone in his office, the bear resting on his desk. He runs his fingers over the red-stitched paw and whispers, I'm sorry, Emma. I tried. He knows Daniel didn't do it, but defending him publicly would mean admitting the note's truth and reopening every wound he's tried to hide. The next morning, he sends a short message to Daniel. Hold on. Don't lose faith. I'll fix this. Daniel stares at it for a long time before deleting it. Fixing won't pay rent, won't erase shame, won't stop Lily's classmates from asking if her dad's a thief. When they go out for groceries, a neighbor mutters, should have known. They always play the victim. Daniel doesn't respond. He just squeezes Lily's hand tighter. Back home, she finally breaks down. Why do people think bad things about you when you didn't do anything wrong? He kneels beside her. Because it's easier to believe lies that make the powerful look good. She wipes her tears. Then we should tell them the truth ourselves. He shakes his head. The truth doesn't have a microphone, Lily. She stares at him. Hurt. Then maybe you need to find one. That night, Daniel can't sleep. The TV in the next apartment blares the same segment again. His name, his photo, the headline that turned kindness into scandal. He shuts his eyes, replaying Leonard's voice. Hold on. But hold on to what? To hope. To dignity. To a world that claps when you fall. He looks at the bear sitting on the couch, its patched paw glowing faintly under the lamp. You caused all this, he mutters, then immediately regrets it. The bear, of course, says nothing. He picks it up, stares at the stitches Lily made, the little uneven heart sewn near the tear. He remembers her words, "We should help the person who wrote it." And suddenly, he realizes the tragedy isn't the scandal. It's that somewhere between pride and fear, both he and Leonard let the same thing die again. Truth. Across town, Leonard faces his own reckoning. At a private board dinner, Adler raises his glass. To control the only real power left in this world. Leonard doesn't drink. He just watches the man's reflection in the wine glass, thinking of a janitor's steady eyes and a child's pure voice asking, "Do rich people ever get sad?" He leaves without a word. Back in his car, parked outside the mansion, he makes a decision. He calls his assistant. Gather everything on the factory incident from 6 years ago, the one with the missing inspection reports. "Sir, the lawyers will do it," he says. It's time the truth had a microphone, but Daniel doesn't know that yet. He sits by Lily's bed holding her hand as she sleeps, wondering how the same act of kindness could destroy them both. The quiet stretches into something heavier than silence, the kind that only breaks when someone finally dares to speak. And somewhere, far above the city, the first storm clouds of truth begin to gather again. The storm finally breaks on a Sunday night. Not thunder, truth. Leonard Price sits in his study, the same one where he once screamed at a janitor for touching a photograph. The bear lies in front of him now, its stitched paw resting beside the folded note. He's been staring at it for hours, unable to read it again but unable to look away. On the desk are folders, old inspection reports, staff rosters, archived memos, dusty fragments from a past he tried to erase. The deeper he digs, the more it hurts. He finds the file stamped Plant Number 7, Internal Inquiry. He flips through, machinery defects, safety complaints, and one handwritten page from a site supervisor's log. Child visited during father's shift, unauthorized entry. Incident note. Leonard's pulse quickens. He remembers that day now, the chaos, the phone call from the factory, the panic when his wife cried saying Emma had gone missing for hours. And the note. He had thought she'd written it years earlier during one of her tantrums after an argument. But the handwriting matched perfectly with this timeline. His daughter had been there inside that factory on the day a cursed negligence nearly caused a fatal accident. That worker had been dismissed immediately. Leonard never asked who he was. Until now. He checks the name on the termination slip. Carlos Reyes. Daniel's father. Leonard sinks back into his chair, breath caught between disbelief and shame. "Dear God," he whispers. He pictures it clearly now. A frightened little girl clutching her bear, overhearing shouting, watching a man, her friend's father, being dragged away. Later, she must have written that note. "If you find this, tell my dad I forgive him." It wasn't about Leonard at all. It was for another father entirely. But when the bear went missing during storage cleanup years later, his team had dumped it with old inventory. And when Daniel's daughter found it, fate had simply returned the message to the wrong man, revealing everything he'd buried under profit and pride. Leonard stands abruptly, pacing the room. "All this time," he mutters, "I punished the wrong people." He grabs his phone and calls his assistant. "Pull all HR records for a Carlos Reyes. 16 years ago. Any relation to Daniel Reyes?" The assistant hesitates. "Sir, that's sensitive. Should I involve legal?" "No, just find it." Hours later, a file arrives by courier. Leonard opens it with trembling hands. Inside, a short note from HR explaining the termination. Employee dismissed following machinery failure, resulting in child exposure to hazardous material. No injuries reported. Employee disputed negligence claim. Attached a faded ID photo of Carlos Reyes. The resemblance is undeniable. The same eyes as Daniel. The same quiet strength. Leonard feels the floor tilt beneath him. He'd destroyed that family's future before he even met Daniel. And Daniel, unknowingly, had cleaned his floors for years without ever mentioning it. He sinks into his chair and covers his face with his hands. "Emma, you were trying to forgive a man I condemned. For the first time in years, he lets himself cry, not for the company, not for reputation, but for all the human lives crushed under his ambition. When the tears finally stop, he knows what he has to do. The next morning, Daniel is sitting on the apartment steps, repairing a neighbor's bicycle for extra cash. His hands are black with grease, his face pale with fatigue. He doesn't look up when a familiar voice says, "You shouldn't be fixing bikes, you should be fixing this." Leonard stands there, suit wrinkled, eyes red-rimmed. He holds out a thick folder. Read it. Daniel frowns. "Why are you here?" "Because I owe you more than an apology." Daniel hesitates, then opens the folder. His hands tremble as he flips through the pages. His father's name, the factory report, the signature of dismissal. "My dad," he whispers. "You fired my dad." Leonard nods slowly. "Yes, and I buried the truth that would have cleared him. My team blamed him for an accident my daughter witnessed. She tried to forgive him. That's what the note meant." Daniel closes the file, stunned. "All these years, I didn't know until now," Leonard says. "But ignorance doesn't excuse what it did to your family." Daniel looks at him with a pain so deep it almost sounds like laughter. "You ruined 2 generations without even realizing it." Leonard doesn't flinch. "And you still showed me more grace than I deserved." Lily pokes her head out from the doorway, clutching the bear. "Mr. Price?" she asks timidly. Leonard forces a faint smile. "Hey Lily, you were right about the note. It was someone asking for help." Her eyes widen. "Did you find her?" He nods softly. "In a way, yes. And she helped me find something else I lost. My heart." Daniel looks between them, torn between anger and understanding. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because lies are louder when the truth stays quiet," Leonard says. "And I'm done being quiet." He takes a deep breath. "Tomorrow morning, I'm calling a press conference. I'm going to tell them everything, about the factory, about your father, about the note. They'll destroy us for it, but at least the right people will be remembered for the truth, not the shame." Daniel stares at him, disbelief giving way to reluctant respect. "You'd really risk it all for that?" Leonard looks down. "I already did once. This time I'll do it on purpose." Lily steps forward and hands him the bear. "Then you should take her with you. She was brave first." Leonard's throat tightens as he accepts it. "Thank you, Lily." Daniel stands, exhausted but steady. "You know they won't forgive you easily." "I'm not asking them to," Leonard replies. "I'm asking them to listen." The silence between them feels different now. No longer distance, but fragile understanding. As Leonard leaves, Daniel calls out quietly, "Mr. Price, make sure they know my father's name." Leonard turns. "I will." That night, Daniel sits with Lily on the balcony. The city stretched before them like 1,000 little promises. She leans her head against his arm. "Dad," she murmurs. "Do you think you'll be okay?" He exhales slowly. No one's okay after the truth. But maybe that's how they get better. Below them, in his mansion office, Leonard opens the bear one last time, unfolding the note with reverence. The ink has faded, but the words still shine. "If you find this, tell my dad I forgive him," he whispers. "I will, Emma. I will." And as dawn breaks, for the first time in years, Leonard Price stops being a man running from guilt and starts being a man walking toward redemption. The morning of the press conference arrives with the heaviness of Judgment Day. Every major network, blog and paper has gathered at the downtown auditorium. Cameras hum. Microphones bloom like weeds. Everyone expects damage control, another rich man's excuse to bury his sins under polished words. But what they don't expect is the sight of the CEO himself, walking toward the podium with no security wall, no assistant shielding him, and a small stuffed bear clutched quietly in his hand. The whispers start immediately. "Is that the toy from the scandal? He's really going to talk about it?" Leonard Price stands at the microphone, his face pale but steady. He doesn't glance at his notes. Behind the cameras, Daniel sits with Lily in the front row, invited personally, though still unsure whether this is another trap or something else entirely. The lights feel too bright. The room feels too full. Leonard clears his throat once, and the murmurs fade. "Thank you all for coming." His voice is quieter than usual, unpolished, almost trembling. "You're here because you expect a defense, a statement to protect my reputation. But I'm not here to defend myself." He pauses, eyes scanning the crowd. "I'm here to confess." A ripple moves through the audience, an audible exhale of disbelief. Leonard takes a deep breath. "A few weeks ago, the world heard that a janitor tried to blackmail me using a toy that belonged to my late daughter. You were told that he manipulated grief for money, that he invaded my privacy, That he took something sacred. He lifts the bear slightly, holding it where everyone can see. The truth is I took something sacred first. He sets the bear gently on the podium. Years ago, this toy was misplaced during a warehouse cleanup. Inside was a note, written by my daughter Emma. It said, he unfolds the paper with slow trembling hands. If you find this, tell my dad I forgive him. I know he didn't mean it. I miss him. Silence fills the hall. Reporters lower their cameras, unsure whether to capture the image or bow their heads. Leonard swallows. I thought she wrote that about me. I carried that guilt for years, believing I was the one she had to forgive. But I was wrong. The note was meant for someone else. A man named Carlos Reyes, a factory worker I fired 16 years ago after a false report. The man was innocent. He lost his job, his reputation, and everything his family built because I was too proud to question my own system. A murmur spreads again. Journalists flipping pages, typing furiously. Leonard's voice grows steadier. 2 weeks ago, I met Carlos's son. His name is Daniel Reyes. He was my janitor. Gasps ripple through the room. Daniel lowers his gaze, gripping Lily's hand tightly. He didn't know any of this, Leonard continues. He only found the bear because his daughter picked it out of the trash. He fixed it. He returned it, and He stops, closing his eyes for a moment. I humiliated him. I called him a thief. I fired him. And when the media came for blood, I stayed silent because it was easier to protect my image than an innocent man's dignity. He looks up, voice breaking. Daniel, you didn't just return a toy, you returned my soul. All eyes shift toward the first row. Daniel feels heat climb up his neck. He wants to disappear. Lily squeezes his hand tighter. Leonard turns to the crowd. He gestures to the cameras, the lights. This world rewards arrogance and punishes humility. We confuse silence for weakness and apologies for defeat. But if a child can forgive faster than we can listen, then maybe we've forgotten what strength really means. He steps aside and nods toward the aisle. Mr. Reyes, would you join me? Daniel hesitates. I don't belong up there. Lily nudges him. Yes, you do. He stands slowly, every eye tracking his movement. As he walks toward the stage, the cameras flash wildly. The same lenses that captured his supposed shame now turn to record something else. Something pure. Leonard meets him halfway, descending from the podium like a man stepping down from a throne. He extends his hand. I failed your father, and I failed you. I can't undo that, but I can tell the world the truth. Daniel shakes his hand. The applause begins hesitantly. 1, 2 claps, then builds, rolling through the room like a wave that no one expected. Leonard continues into the microphone. Price Industries will establish the Carlos Reyes Foundation, a scholarship and welfare program for working families affected by corporate negligence. It will be funded entirely by me. Reporters lean forward, astonished. And as for Daniel Reyes, Leonard adds, he is reinstated not as a janitor, but as head of integrity operations for our entire company. Because no one understands dignity better than the man who never stopped working for it. Daniel's knees almost give out. He shakes his head. Sir, I'm... Yes, you are, Leonard interrupts. You are exactly who this company needs to remember what honesty looks like. The audience rises in a slow standing ovation, part disbelief, part awe. For once, power bows to humility. Leonard turns back to the microphone. I can't bring my daughter back, but through this act, maybe I can finally live like the man she believed I could be. He unfolds the note once more, voice trembling as he reads aloud. This time for the world to hear. If you find this, tell my dad I forgive him. He looks at Daniel, then at Lily sitting in the front row. She found it, Emma, and she told me. The crowd is silent. Not one flash clicks. Not one cough breaks the moment. Then Daniel steps closer to the mic. His voice is low, almost hesitant. You didn't have to do this, Mr. Price. Leonard shakes his head. No, I needed to. Daniel exhales shakily. My father used to say that real men clean up their own messes. Maybe that's all this ever was. A ripple of emotion moves through the audience. Reporters lower their cameras. Some even wipe their eyes. Lily suddenly runs up the aisle and onto the stage, clutching the bear. You forgot this, she says, handing it to Leonard. The crowd laughs softly, tension dissolving into something human. Leonard kneels to her level, smiling with genuine warmth. You were the bravest one of all, Lily. She grins. Mom said kindness makes people remember who they are. He nods, voice cracking. Then she was right. He looks up at Daniel. Your daughter's already changed more lives than I ever have. Daniel smiles faintly. She just likes fixing broken things. Leonard glances at the audience, eyes glistening. Then maybe she should run this place. The laughter that follows isn't cruel this time. It's freeing. The press conference ends, not with applause, but with a standing silence, a reverent kind that belongs to funerals and miracles alike. Cameras record every second, but for once, they don't distort it. Outside, the headlines shift within hours. CEO admits fault, honors janitor's family legacy. A child's forgiveness changes a corporate giant. Daniel and Lily return home that night in stunned quiet. The world feels both larger and lighter. On the kitchen table, their phone buzzes endlessly with messages. Some supportive, some skeptical, but he ignores them all. Lily plays with the bear, now missing a few more threads. "Dad, do you think his daughter's happy now?" Daniel smiles. "Yeah. I think she finally got through to her dad." She tilts her head. "And you?" He looks at her, eyes soft. "I think I finally did too." That night, Leonard sits alone in his study. The cameras are gone. The applause faded. The bear sits on the desk beside him. The note sealed in a glass frame. He whispers into the quiet, "Thank you, Emma, for sending me the right people." Outside, the city hums under gentle rain. Somewhere across town, Daniel stands by the same window in his small apartment, watching the same rain fall. For the first time in years, it doesn't feel cold. He thinks of his father, of forgiveness, of how one man's pride can bury generations and one child's kindness can unearth them again. The storm is finally over, not because anyone won, but because everyone finally listened. And the bear that once symbolized shame now sits between two families, a small stitched monument to redemption. Weeks pass, the noise fades, but something new takes its place. Quiet work, honest work. For the first time in years, Leonard Price isn't being followed by cameras. The scandal that once threatened to end him has transformed into something else. A movement. His public confession sparked national debate, not about corporate failure, but about dignity, forgiveness, and second chances. He spends his mornings not in his penthouse office, but in a renovated brick building downtown, the new headquarters of the Emma Grace Foundation, named after his daughter. Its mission is simple: provide stable jobs and fair wages to single parents, people like Daniel who carry the world quietly without applause. Daniel stands beside him on opening day, dressed in a clean gray shirt, name badge reading operations director instead of custodial. He still carries his old work gloves in his pocket, not as a reminder of shame but as proof that humility builds stronger hands than pride ever could. Reporters gather, this time by invitation, but the tone is different now. No scandal, no spectacle, just people curious to witness what healing looks like when two men decide to mean it. Leonard steps to the microphone. "When I lost my daughter, I thought grief was punishment. But grief, I've learned, is just love that doesn't know where to go. Today, we give it direction. This foundation will employ parents who've been forgotten, people who work too hard and are seen too little, people like Daniel Reyes." He gestures toward Daniel, who shifts uncomfortably under the applause. "Mr. Reyes reminded me that integrity doesn't depend on position. He cleaned floors with more honor than I once ran boardrooms. Now, I'm proud to call him not my employee but my pater." Daniel steps up reluctantly, eyes scanning the small crowd. "I used to believe silence kept you safe," he begins, his voice steady. "But silence also lets the wrong stories live longer than the truth. That changed everything. Wasn't money, or luck, it was someone finally listening. So if this place can be anything, let it be that, a space where people are heard." He looks at Leonard. "Thank you for proving that powerful men can apologize and mean it." The two men shake hands again, but this time it's not staged. It's human. Lily stands at the front of the audience, holding her father's phone to record. Her eyes shine with pride, and when Daniel catches her gaze, he finally allows himself to smile. After the ceremony, the staff gather inside. The place smells of fresh paint and coffee. Bulletin boards wait for family photos. Tools hang neatly in new maintenance rooms, labeled "Respect Your Craft." Daniel moves through the hallway, greeting new hires, a single mother from the shelter nearby, an older man who lost work after an injury, a young father trying to get back on his feet. Each handshake feels like a small echo of his father's redemption. Leonard walks beside him. "You know, your dad's file was the first thing I placed in our memorial archive," he says. "Not to erase what happened, to remember it." Daniel nods slowly. He'd have liked that. He used to say mistakes are just lessons you pay extra for. Leonard chuckles. "Then I've earned a doctorate." They both laugh, and for the first time it's easy. Later that afternoon, Leonard joins Daniel and Lily for lunch at a nearby cafe. The waitress recognizes them, smiling shyly. "You three are the forgiveness people, right?" Daniel laughs. "I guess we are." Lily beams. "He's the forgiveness dad." Leonard raises an eyebrow. "And what does that make you?" She grins. "The fixer." He nods approvingly. Every movement needs one of those. They eat simply soup, sandwiches, nothing fancy. It's the kind of meal that once separated them by miles of privilege, but now feels shared, sacred in its ordinariness. When the check arrives, Leonard slides it toward Daniel. "Your turn." Daniel blinks. "You sure?" Leonard smiles. "I've been buying peace of mind for decades. Let me finally earn something the right way." That evening, as they lock up the new facility, Daniel stands alone in the entryway. The plaque on the wall reads, "The Emma Grace Foundation. Built in memory of forgiveness found, and dignity restored." He runs his fingers over the engraved words. For a long moment he just breathes. No rush, no shame, no fear. When he gets home, Lily is sitting at the table with her school books. "Guess what?" she says, holding up a form. "We're learning about heroes this week. I wrote about you." Daniel chuckles softly. "You should have written about your mom, or Mr. Price." She shakes her head. "They're part of your story, but you're the one who didn't give up." Her words stop him cold. All those years of humiliation, quiet endurance, swallowing pride, they finally find meaning in her eyes. He sits beside her, looking at the small essay scrawled in colored pencil. "My hero is my dad. He fixes things no one else can see are broken. Sometimes hearts." He swallows the lump rising in his throat. "That's the best thing anyone's ever written about me." Lily leans her head on his shoulder. "Then don't ever stop fixing." In another part of the city, Leonard sits in his office, surrounded by new staff files. The lights are dim, the air still. On his desk, beside framed photos of Emma, lies the bear, cleaned, restitched one last time. He presses its paw absent-mindedly, remembering the note that changed everything. He whispers, "We did it, kiddo." For the first time in years, the grief doesn't ache, it breathes. Weeks later, Daniel oversees his first community workshop, teaching maintenance skills to parents who lost jobs. He wears his father's old wrench on his belt, the same one that once built a life and then symbolized its loss. Now it builds something new. During a break, he looks outside. Lily is showing younger kids how to sew patches onto old toys. Her laughter fills the courtyard. Leonard watches from a distance, hands in his pockets, letting the sound of hope replace the echo of regret. Two fathers, once divided by power, now united by purpose. One lost a daughter and found meaning, the other nearly lost everything and found pride. As the sun dips low, Daniel tightens the last bolt on a playground swing, steps back, and smiles at the sign above it. "Built for joy, protected by truth." He looks over his shoulder toward Leonard, who nods silently. For the first time in a long, hard life, Daniel doesn't feel like the world is watching to laugh. It's watching to learn. And this time, he's ready to be seen. Months later, the world has moved on. But for three people, it has never been more alive. The Emma Grace Foundation hums with quiet purpose. The halls smell of coffee and crayons, not bleach or boardrooms. There's laughter echoing from the daycare wing, a melody that carries through every corner of the building. It's the sound of second chances, the kind that money can't buy. Only compassion can build. On the far side of the new children's center, sunlight pours through the glass roof, landing on a small display case. Inside it rests the bear, its red-stitched paw neatly repaired, fur slightly faded from the years. Beside it, under soft light, sits the framed note that changed everything. "If you find this, tell my dad I forgive him. I know he didn't mean it. I miss him." Lily stands before it, now a few inches taller, her school bag slung across one shoulder. She traces the words through the glass with her fingertip, her reflection overlapping with Emma's photo displayed nearby. "You did it," she whispers. He listens. Behind her, Daniel finishes talking with a group of parents about new outreach programs. His shirt sleeves are rolled up, a small grease stain on his wrist, proof that even with his new title, he hasn't forgotten where he came from. He walks over to her. "Ready to go, superstar?" Lily grins. "Almost. I was telling her thank you." Daniel smiles. Understanding. She'd like that. They stand there together for a quiet moment. Father and daughter, the bear's shadow reflected on their faces like a bridge between past and present. Across the atrium, Leonard Price watches from a distance, unnoticed. He's no longer the man on the magazine covers. He doesn't need to be. These days he prefers the background, the same place Daniel once stood. The reversal feels fitting, almost poetic. He sees Lily laugh. Daniel place a gentle hand on her shoulder, and something in his chest loosens again. The public has forgiven him, mostly, but he stopped chasing forgiveness when he learned it doesn't erase the past. It simply teaches you how to live with it. The foundation runs smoothly now, under Daniel's honest hints. Leonard remains involved quietly, funding projects, visiting schools and talking less but meaning more. He turns to leave, but pauses at the display one last time. He presses his hand against the glass where the note rests. "Thank you, Emma," he murmurs. "You gave me back the kind of men I once forgot existed." Outside, the air smells like spring, new beginnings disguised as ordinary days. Daniel and Lily step out of the building a few minutes later. The courtyard is alive with families, parents picking up children, volunteers tending the small flower garden near the fountain. A plaque there reads, "Built for joy, protected by truth." It's the same words Daniel carved on the swing set months ago, now engraved in bronze for everyone to see. Lily runs ahead, spinning beneath the sunlight. "Dad, look. It's like the whole place is smiling." Daniel laughs softly. "That's because it's finally clean." She tilts her head. "You mean like floors?" He shakes his head. "No, like hearts." They walk to the garden where small daisies bloom. Emma's flowers. Leonard planted them himself that first week, one for every worker's child enrolled in the center. They bloom unevenly, stubbornly, imperfect but alive, much like the people who now care for them. Lily crouches down and fixes a crooked stem. "Mom would like this place." Daniel nods, eyes glistening. "She'd love it." A bell rings from inside, signaling the end of the children's class. Parents and kids spill into the courtyard, laughing, calling names, chasing bubbles blown by volunteers. In the middle of it all, Leonard steps outside to join them, sleeves rolled, tie gone, eyes brighter than they've been in years. He spots Daniel and walks over, stopping at the edge of the garden. "She's growing fast," he says, nodding toward Lily. Daniel smiles. "So's this place." Leonard looks around, hands in his pockets. "Funny thing about kindness, it multiplies when you give it away." Daniel nods. "And it sticks when you mean it." They share a look that needs no translation. The look of two men who've both lost and gained everything that truly matters. Lily waves from the flowers. "Dad, Mr. Price, come help me with the new sign." They join her at the bench where a wooden board waits, half painted by little hands. It reads, "Where forgiveness grows." Daniel laughs. "You're really making sure no one forgets, huh?" Lily grins. "It's history, Dad. You can't clean that off." Leonard chuckles, kneeling beside her to add a brush stroke. "You're right, Lily. Some things should stay." The three of them finish the sign together. Two fathers, one child, and a memory that refuses to fade. Later, when the sun begins to dip, Daniel and Lily start their walk home. The foundation lights glow behind them, casting long, soft shadows that stretch toward the city. The bear remains in its glass case, silent but powerful, not a relic, but a reminder. On their way out, Lily asks, "Dad, do you think people will still talk about us?" Daniel shakes his head with a smile. "Not about us, about what we did. There's a difference." She nods thoughtfully. "Then I hope they learn what we learned." He looks down. "And what's that?" "That even broken things can make the world better if someone cares enough to fix them." He stops walking for a moment, staring at her like he's seeing the future. "You're right, kiddo." As they disappear down the sidewalk, Leonard watches from the steps, smiling quietly. He doesn't call out, he doesn't need to. Some goodbyes are better left unspoken when hearts already understand. He turns back toward the building, the laughter, the hum of work, the faint scent of daisies, and for the first time in years, he feels peace, not penance. Because forgiveness isn't about forgetting, it's about rebuilding together. And the story of the janitor, the CEO, and the note in the bear becomes more than a headline. It becomes a living lesson whispered through every corridor of the foundation. Kindness can come from anywhere, even from what others throw away. Have you ever seen dignity rise from the forgotten? Tell us where you're watching from, and one word that describes how this story made you feel.